There's a lot going on out in the backyard, and many people are very fortunate to have deer, and they can either spot the deer or sometimes just see the tracks in the snow or in the dirt the next day. Here at Winding Pathways, we encourage people to go outside and enjoy the solitude of the yard, the beauty, to look up at night at the planets and the stars, and of course to see the wildlife. It's now late winter, and in late winter, buck deer, the males, start to drop their antlers or shed them, and during the course of the year it's attached very strongly to the deer's head so that when they're fighting and jousting with other deer, it stays on. It's on there really hard. Well, during the late fall, during the mating season of the deer, the antlers are very heavily and strongly attached to the deer's head. But in the late winter that changes, and sometime after Christmas the base of the antler begins to weaken some, and gradually it gets weaker and weaker and weaker until it's just about ready to fall off that buck's head. And often we find shed antlers in a place where the deer has either jumped over a fence, maybe gone down into a ravine, or jumped over a log, and that's just where Marion found this shed close to our house about a year ago. We think the buck went to jump over a big old log, and that was just enough of a jar when he landed to cause the antler to go down onto the ground. Well, many people think that antlers are just decorations, and a lot of hunters do hang them on the wall to look at. But going back into antiquity, antlers were used for many things. Native Americans would often cut them or sometimes use them intact for all sorts of things, from even cultivating in their gardens. They made a pretty good little rake, to all kinds of implements that were useful for cooking and for everyday tools, basically. Early Americans, our culture, adapted antlers very quickly. They were very popular. We used pieces of them for knife handles. And even today, we recently learned of a pretty new use that pet stores sometimes sell pieces of antlers, a little piece of the tine, and dogs like to chew on them. It gives them good exercise, I guess keeps their teeth cleaned, and they last a long time because antlers are very durable, so they're going to last a lot longer than a bone. One of the interesting things about antlers is they're totally recyclable, and nature recycles antlers by having rodents, usually squirrels, but mice and some other rodents will come up and they'll chew on that antler. Here's where a squirrel has chewed on this one, and they absorb that calcium into their bodies. It helps the squirrel grow and have strong bones. Yes, both Native Americans and modern Americans often use antlers for ceremonial purposes. This is an antler that was shed here some time ago, and Marion has taken a pheasant feather and a turkey feather and a few other things and added to it, and she uses them in her healing circles when she is leading them. So this is a modern adaptation of a ceremonial use of an antler. Antlers are wonderful to go out and look for, and if you want to go out and find a shed, go out to some place, maybe a piece of public land, find deer tracks where there are a lot of deer, look around in March or April, and there's a good chance you might find a shed.